What's up, guys? This is kind of an afterthought making a video on this, but I thought I'd show you a little bit about this TIC Performance Billet Elbow modification for the CID intakes. This is a CID 4.5 LS3 intake, and we're going to be installing the TIC Performance Billet Elbow with the burst panel on this. Now this intake, when it started off, it was just the normal size. You see how large the hole is in it now. So we're trying to open that up like so. Go in here and probably shave a little bit more around these corners a little bit, but I think as far as cutting it down, I'm going to stop there. A little tip: you need to cut it down until the bolt holes disappear. That's about a good indication that you've got down far enough, which actually this I might cut just a little bit further just to make those actually disappear. But about an inch or so cut off the top of these intakes. So this elbow will go in here, and the billet pieces will go here, your throttle body here, burst panel on the side, which I'll show you the welding process and all that whenever we get there. But I just thought I'd show you before I took it off of the mill here what everything looks like when it's cut down. Now I'm not no professional machinist. This is just an old, I don't know what year it is or how good it is, but it's a mill that we got actually for free. A guy's just letting us store them here, or he just needed a place to store the stuff, and we said, you know, we'll put it in the shop because we can use it. So bought this just cheap Amazon aluminum cutting head, running at pretty low speed. Like I said, I'm probably doing it wrong, but it's working, so I'm rolling with it, right? So let's cut this thing one more pass, and then we'll get all the shavings cleaned up out of it, and we'll start the assembly process. All right, we made our last cut. We got it here on the bench. Got the flange on it mocked up. You can see we still got a little lip right there. Like I said, we're going to hit that with the sander because it's pretty thin right there. Get it rounded, and then I'm going to use that as meat to weld on the inside on the corners right there as I make the curve. You can see it's cut way past the flange there, so you just want to kind of line that up with the radius of the intake there. Actually, it could go more this way. Anyway, we'll get it positioned right before we weld it on. But that's your base, super thick. You can see. Here's your top. Going there with a nice O-ring. The base is also threaded. So that's that. Gets this thing preheated real good. Get these injector or fuel rails off. And lay us some nice beads around that, inside and out. So we probably won't get to it today, but the next time lapse you see will be me welding this thing together. The 200 amp welder is not enough to do an intake unless you're really patient. An old Dynasty 200. Whenever I finally break over an upgrade, I'll be getting a 350 of some type at least for stuff like this, because 200 amps just isn't enough when you got a big piece of aluminum like this. It just soaks up the heat so much that it just takes forever, because if it's not hot enough, it's gonna struggle to melt the material and it's gonna leave a sucky weld bead. So we'll just wait on it. Well, that was a really slow process. Definitely don't have enough machine to be doing this on intakes. Come out pretty good though. The only thing is, when you weld really slow like that, your weld tends to have like a white chalky look to it. You might be getting this intake powder coated and stuff anyway, so it really don't matter. But to have that nice bright aluminum look whenever you weld, you need to weld hot and you need to weld fast. And this machine just didn't have enough to penetrate, and I really couldn't move fast, because when you move forward, it wouldn't be melting the material. So I had to go really slow. Even with preheating the entire process, it still was just barely enough to get it done. So turned out pretty good though. See, on the corners, I kind of washed it out, make sure it was built up good. Move this thing around, it's still so hot. And on the inside, I welded all the way to the corners on both sides. You can't get to the part underneath because it's way up underneath here, but just some extra strength in there, welded on the inside. So now, I'm gonna go in here and get the billet elbow. the last part of this kit. And the throttle body flange, obviously. Take them out of the bags. Got them in bags so they don't scratch. Take all this stuff out here. My office is turned into the storage unit for all the race car stuff. Our top pieces, we're going to get those tacked together, and this will weld together a lot easier because smaller part, it's going to stay hot, plus a lot thinner material, machined versus cast, just a lot of better circumstances for welding. We'll probably save this for tomorrow morning. I got to get to work this morning on some other stuff, but overall, I'm happy with it. We got it welded up finally. Turned out really nice. I will say about this billet elbow, if you're not a pretty experienced welder, you don't want to spend $950 on a nice elbow and then make a mess of it. So make sure you think about the way you lay this thing on the table, your welding positions, everything, because it's a funky piece to get on the table positioned right. You want to make sure that you're in a comfortable spot where your weld beads look really good. But it turned out pretty nice. We welded it inside now. I've got it bolted back up to the intake now while it's cooling down, just so it cools down straight and level on the base. Adjust the camera here. I'll probably get some different bolts for it. These are just bolts out of a bolt bin just to hold it down. I will say you could probably put this throttle body flange on before you welded it to the base. Would probably make it a little bit easier to weld under there. that was probably the toughest spot, going underneath the throttle body flange. See if you can see on the inside. See, we welded inside and out. I'll pick it up here. Yeah, very nice piece. Really looks sick setting up on top of that intake. It's got your pieces for your throttle cable on both sides. I will say, I didn't say at the beginning of the video that this is going on Omgboost, my wife's car, on her Dart 427 setup. So the title of this will probably be, maybe have her name in it or something. I don't know what I'll do for the video title, but the main thing is to showcase this billet elbow that they offer and the start to finish install of what it takes to get it on. It will fit other intakes. A couple other intakes that I think Grubworm's got one, and his is on maybe a Victor Jr. or something like that for the LT car. Might require a little bit more welding, a little bit more building up of the front of the intake, but the CID have a really big top on them, so they work really good with this setup. But really happy with the way it turned out. I'm gonna get the burst panel and stuff on there, get it dressed up good, and I'm gonna set it back on the motor, and then I'll show you what it looks like all finished out.